Hallo, hier ist Erik Thullen und ich zeige euch heute mein Spiel Ancient Dungeon VR im Bammsters Rated R Podcast.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode, another interview on the Bammsters Rated R podcast. Today with me, I have my buddy G, and he's going to introduce our guest.
Why me? What? Okay, yeah, hey everybody, it's G here, or, this question. And today, it's Ancient Dungeon VR, over on the Kickstarter, because why not do another Kickstarter? And joining us to talk about this, all the way from the Germanys, it is Erik Thullen. Hi, Erik.
Hi.
Sorry, that's my worst German. Yeah.
I could understand it.
Oh. So, Erik, first off, Kickstarter, VR, aren't you about 5 years too late with this?
Good question.
Before we even talk about what the game is beyond that.
So, I haven't initially planned to do a Kickstarter because I thought I'd just release the game on Steam in early access sometime.
That works.
But, so the problem is, because there's so many VR headsets and so much stuff that's different in between these, there were so many people in Discord that said, yeah, that thing doesn't work, and those things doesn't work. Then a few people said, do you have a Patreon? We want to support you. And I said, I don't have any of that. And then I thought, why not do a small Kickstarter to just get the hardware I need and maybe to do some, commission some music or something to make the game better, but not to necessarily fund it because the game is going to get released anyway. But I thought it's a good idea to just help the game do its last steps or something.
So it's more of a Kickstarter to do an uplift of the quality of the game.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. I mean, It's not that big of a goal, but I mean, it's VR, so the user base is small, so
there's always
you can't really do Kickstarters of $50,000. Maybe if you're a big studio or something, but not a single developer.
Yeah, it's still doable, but it's uphill. Very much uphill these days.
Yeah, then it's, I think, a lot of marketing, and I mean, if you're alone, you can't do all that stuff at the same time, so I just did a small goal, to get the stuff I need and then just wait until release.
Okay, so far we've said Ancient Dungeon and VR, so people have an idea what's going on. It is Heretic or Hexen, which I understand you've never heard of, in VR. Yeah, we talked about that before we recorded. And it turns out our guest is younger than Heretic. It's going well this time. We're not feeling old here at the Bammsters podcast. Vielen Dank, Herr Erik. And people who are watching this episode can watch it in the background. It's somewhere on the screen next to one of us. And the people who are listening only, they're going to need an explanation of what the game is. So, Erik, give us the lowdown, the elevator pitch. What is it? What are we looking at?
Okay, Ancient Dungeon is a roguelike dungeon crawler with procedurally generated dungeons. So, yeah, it's not a roguelike, a complete hard roguelike, like the old roguelikes where you just die and don't have any progress.
Okay.
So it's a roguelite where you have progress in the game to have some sense of progression.
Yeah.
But the basic idea is most roguelikes or roguelikes that you see today, like Binding of Isaac or something like that. Enter the Gungeon, how they're all called.
All the classics.
Yeah, and the goal is to explore the dungeons that generate and find out what's down below. That's the general idea. So you find your way through the dungeons, find loot, different item upgrades. Yeah, that's the main idea behind it.
When I know G compared it to Hexen, but for those who are younger, like our guest, it's got kind of a MineCraft-esq kind of a look to it as well, in a way. But how did you decide on the visual aesthetic? Like,
The funny thing is, the visuals I think now look pretty good, but I haven't gone for like low poly or something. So I've gone for this pixel art look because it's actually the only thing I can draw consistently. So it's so it's not really a matter of like I like the style. I mean I like it a lot, but yeah, my artistic skills. I've only done pixel art while developing games, so I thought why not do pixel art in like VR. I think it looks pretty cool, but yeah, the idea came because I can draw better and I didn't want to buy art assets. So like and another point is because it's way easier to make more stuff, because if I do like some realistic stuff, like making a tree would take me hours, and so with this simple approach I can do way more stuff much faster. So it's also a bit because of development time, I guess. Just
are you working on this by yourself, or do you have other folks involved?
I'm completely by myself.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's impressive to be putting a video game out by yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's I mean, like some things can be bought, like music and also some like frameworks. I'm using some frameworks for in like inverse kinematics and all that stuff. I don't do that all by myself because why reinvent the wheel?
Very much. But you said you've done graphics, you've done games before? So what is your background here?
Yeah, I've done 2 mobile games before. They like with 2 other people, so we were 3. And we released them on the Google Play Store. They were pretty popular, I guess. They had like 1 million downloads or something. And like the art style is almost the same. It's all pixel art. So if you look at these games and look at this game, the art style is pretty similar.
They're related visually.
Yeah, they're related visually. Yeah.
Well, I do like the idea of using, still this pixel art style. It gives a little bit of an eye beholder feel to it, which is sort of, for many people, the intro into this type of role-playing ancient dungeons games, where you really go and explore dungeons. Yes, Dungeons and Dragons styled. There's some kind of, at least for me, some romance in it, that you stick with that art style.
Yeah.
Did I mention another game you've never heard of? Eye of the Beholder?
That one's even older than Exit.
Yeah.
I've never really played many old games, like some N64 games I played, but...
That's not old.
G and I both face palming at the same time. That is hilarious. Oh. So,
I'm so sorry.
Apparently we need to go down to the store and get our insurer and
Yeah.
When you talk about old games to us, we think about things like Atari and, Commodore, and so it's funny to hear the different perspective though, that for you, like N64 is old games. That is funny.
Oh, no, it's people bring up console generations, next generation, previous generations. What generation did you start playing on? The first one. It wasn't called a generation back then. No, mate, you need to go back. Eye of the Beholder, Hex and Heretic, if you can, the old Gold Box series. You will see, when I look at your game, you'll see some similarities. Yes, the graphics have fewer colors, particularly if you get the DOS versions. Get the Amiga versions, there'll be more colors in them. But art style-wise, yeah, for me, there's a romantic element that it looks like these old games. At least it looks like the way we remember them, more than it actually looks like. You're in Germany. Fate, Gates of Dawn. Although, if you're that young, you might not be old enough to play that.
No. I don't
that's
think
from
so.
'89. Same age as the Builder. I'm just saying, but it's nice that we're now getting again this old style. But yeah, VR, modern technology. Absolutely, update these games. Update this visuals. Update this play mechanics. Although in VR, are we talking room scale VR or what? Are we? Do I have to swing things around myself?
Yeah, so it's completely room scale, so you have to swing your sword around, and it's completely physics based, so your sword will get stuck on walls, you can't just wiggle through it. Enemies react to your hits, so the sword doesn't like go through it, so it collides with them, and the enemies react like in a way in the direction where you're hitting. So yeah, I think like this simple art style and is pretty cool in VR because you don't have the screen door effect that like most headsets have.
Yeah.
So if you have some extremely realistic game, it looks amazing, but I think it doesn't look as clear because it tries to be realistic, but you know how it looks without the headset, and it's not that clear and like high resolution. And I think
there's an element of dissonance.
Lower
right
graphics, like you don't expect it to look realistic, and I think you can get immersed like almost as good as with better graphics.
Well, I think VR struggles with the suspension of disbelief. Because that's specifically what it should be able to do if the graphics were good enough, but they're not.
Yeah, it's like I think it's getting there. So slowly, it's because I have the Vive and the Rift S, and I mean it's a few years in between, and you notice the improvements, but it's like still a long way to go. But it's getting better.
It's getting better. Well, now we have RTX. If we mix that with VR, perhaps it'll start to remove some of the headaches.
RTX,
how does it handle? Yeah. I'm just curious. When you swing a sword and it gets stuck by the enemy, your arm still continues. You're still flailing around over here, but the sword is there. Doesn't that confuse people?
So the sword, so it's fixed on your hand, but if you hit an enemy, for example, too slow, then the sword just like rotates, but the handle is still on your hand. So it's like if you have like a stick that you. That bends, so
it changes the angle.
Yeah, it changes the angle, so it doesn't go through the enemy, it just like slides around it, I guess you can say that. But normally you hit so hard and so fast you don't really notice it. But if you do it slowly, then you notice that it's not that realistic.
Scaling to how fast you're moving?
Not at the moment, but I think it was implemented before.
Okay.
I'm still changing so much stuff. I often forget to re-add something or re-implement stuff, and then it's just I forget what is already inside the game or what not. And then some people suggest a feature, and I think, hey, wait, wasn't that already in the game? And then I just check, and I've just deleted it like months ago. Or like rewrote it and it doesn't work. Yeah, that's the funny part.
It's refactoring, isn't it?
Yeah, oh my god, there's so much refactoring.
Yeah, I was having fun in some cases knocking some of the zombies into the holes, into the pits and stuff. Because you hit them a few times and you can kind of direct them as you hit them and then knock them off the edge.
Exactly.
It works. If it works, it works.
Yep. So speaking of, then I noticed that there are different weapons that you can use in the game. What are your different options for different types of weapons that you can use?
So you have two weapons as your main weapons. So it's a normal sword and a throwing knife. The throwing knife is a bit special because like you throw it and then you can pull it back into your hand with a like it flies back into your hand when you like press the trigger again. So it's more like a boomerang, some sorts, with like some force that you can pull back on.
It's a Thor's hammer.
Mew Mew, like
yes.
Thor's hammer.
Yeah, exactly, like Thor's hammer. Yeah, that could be. That's a good explanation. So it's like Thor's hammer, but a throwing knife, and a normal sword. And you can find other weapons in the dungeons, for example, a bow or a hammer or something. But the main weapons that stick with you and can get upgraded, those are the sword and the throwing knife. Yeah.
Yeah, I was noticing that the throwing knife, at least with the headset that I have, and this is a common problem with the particular headset that I have, that throwing objects and sometimes shooting with the bow is a little bit wonky. It's a little bit strange just because the headset I have is the Windows Mixed Reality one, so I don't have external cameras that do body tracking or anything like that. So trying to throw things with this one is... it's a little bit of an interesting exercise trying to get it to work right.
Yeah, that's Windows Mixed Reality. That's...
Yeah, and that's not something against this game or anything, but that is a typical issue that I run into in any VR game with this headset. So
yeah, that can happen. So that's the big problem. We have so many different headsets at the moment, and they all do stuff differently that it's hard to optimize for everyone, for every headset if you don't have it. Yeah, it's... I think like after I released the game in the first alpha version, I only had the Vive to test everything, and then were people with Oculus headsets, and they reported these bugs. They couldn't use the bow, they couldn't drop items. Then someone wanted snap turning, then I did snap turning. Then someone wanted smooth turning, so I added smooth turning. Then someone wanted a bigger snap turning angle. Then someone wanted the intervals between the snap turning to be modifiable. Then someone wanted press to touch. So I spent like weeks adding more movement options because every headset does it differently, and I think it's not even finished yet. I mean, like you said, you had a Windows Mixed Reality headset, so there you move the touchpad, but it would be better if it's on the joystick. So
yeah,
you have to add options for that as well. So it's a nightmare.
Well, I guess my next question will probably get a similar answer, but I wonder, on a typical PC, non-VR PC game, one of the things I'm used to is being able to configure the keyboard controls. Is that something that can be done in VR, or is that a bit of a nightmare to try and put that together as well?
I think Steam VR has controller mappings where you can change the mapping of the controller.
Okay.
And yeah, so the good thing is you don't really have many controls on your controllers, so you can't really do much binding. So I have options for switching your main hand for your sword, like left or right.
Good. Very good.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Then I have just the different movement options, or with which controller you want to move and to turn. But that's basically it. Because you don't really have a keyboard, so you can't really change much. So I think I almost have everything covered now, except maybe if some new headset comes out.
The index.
Yeah, I think I don't have the index controllers, so some people reported there were also some things. Yeah, okay, the index controllers, some people now want full hand tracking because the index supports like each individual fingers, and then everyone says, yeah, I want to see my fingers. I mean, it's a pixely game, why don't you just live with the fact that it's like a blocky hand? But then I think, yeah, maybe it would be a cool addition, but like you're the only one who can use it. So
yeah, that would be a small section of the public that uses it. Yeah,
it would be a small group of an already small group.
Yeah,
it's disappearingly. Yeah, but if you need more challenges, there's always the PlayStation, the PSVR, and PSVR 2.
Oh yeah, there's also. I've already gotten questions about that, but I'm not even sure how to get there. Like how to
get a publisher who can contact.
Something.
Yeah, you'll need somebody who has contacts at
so much
first.
Often it's so much work to do that.
Yeah,
it's hard to do everything.
Well, I'd say at this point you've got enough on your plate at the moment, and have already targeted Steam. You could probably, once you were done with the Steam version, then maybe see if that was something you wanted to do, just go to PlayStation. But
yeah, so I definitely look into it, but that will take some time.
Is he ever going to be done with the Steam version? I mean,
That's
I'm
the
not-
problem
not
with
on- not on you,
roguelikes
Alec.
or roguelites, because you can always add content.
Yeah, your current customer base, your current follower base, seems to already be, we're just asking for more features. You'll never be done. They will always want more.
Yeah, that's the problem with like games that are not story driven.
Yeah.
There's always something to add. There's so many ideas floating around. It's not even possible to do them all.
Also with modern marketing that we market via Discord channels and Patreons, Kickstarter, there's that engagement with the end users. For better or worse, results in end users who want everything.
Yeah, I think it's positive that there's so many people that are engaged in the game.
Yeah,
I get
generally
so
I
many
would agree.
bug reports and so many suggestions that I've never even thought about. And it's really awesome, like, to have a community of people that like are excited to play the updates and report on like bugs they found or what they want to see in the game. And it helps really a lot, because otherwise I think the whole game would be a buggy mess, because I know how to play the game, so I'm not playing it in a way that breaks the game unintentionally, because I know how stuff works. And if someone else like does something, so there are people on Discord that they find bugs I've never even seen, and just how did that happen? And that's really cool to
Well, there's
have
the
so
old
many
joke
people.
of QA testing a bartender software. And they tested with 1 beer, with 2 beer, with 1,000 beer, with -1 beer, 0 beer, with square root of 1 beer. And eventually they fix all the bugs, and the first customer comes in, asks, "Where's the toilet?" And the software breaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, customers will do something that you have not predicted. As always,
That was probably me.
stuff.
Yeah, that was probably me last night trying to mix the potions in the testing area. It didn't work out.
I put a horse in the potion, it failed.
Well, no. I was just taking different potions and trying to mix them together to see what would happen. But I just thought that was funny. I actually didn't think anything was going to happen, I was curious to see if that was a feature that was in there or not.
Did you literally just take one in each hand and did this, or?
Yeah, well, the little potion bottles have these little corks on them. So you take the cork off, and then I'd set one down, pick up another one, take the cork off of that, and then carefully try to pour it and see. And the little blocks come out for like the liquid, and they would actually go into the other bottle and then disappear.
Oh.
Have you found a pot or a helmet and then pour both into the helmet?
No, I have not done that. No.
Next thing to try.
Yeah, that's also funny. Like,
I mean, is there an invisibility potion?
not yet. It's on the to-do list.
Okay, once you've implemented it, take the invisibility potion and throw it at spiders. See what happens.
No, thank you.
You're giving me ideas.
And we've not even gotten to the bacon yet. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, so we talked a little bit about the weapons. Then, are there different armor upgrades or defenses and things like that you can pick up along the way?
So the game, I tried to keep the game simple, so not having to manage your armor in VR or like having a different equipment.
Drac
so
loves doing that.
you can pick up. So you mostly pick up items that change the way you play or give you like defense bonus, or when you get hit, it sets your attacker on fire, or when you get hit, it poisons your enemy, or like you get slow motion effect. So that's the defensive upgrades, but you can't really pick up like armor sets and like manage your inventory or something like that. So I had an earlier version where I had a whole like equipment inventory and you could pick up helmets and chest plates and all that stuff. But in my opinion, it was too much like work in VR to like manage your inventory, check which item does what, like how much defense bonus does it have. And I think people just want to hit stuff with their sword and run through dungeons and not take their time to like wiggle awkwardly in an inventory with their controllers around. And now that I don't even have that, like I can do stuff that stacks. Before that, I had different types of helmets. So one helmet gave you more crit chance, one helmet gave you an effect or something, but you couldn't really combine them, and that took away from the like item synergies that you can get. So I just scrapped that completely and put just items in there, and you can pick up as many as you want. So you can pick up 10 different masks, for example, and they stack, and so you can get cool effects. And I think that's more fun than like the old system. So that is my intention behind, like, you don't really have like an equipment system. You just pick up items and they do different stuff and they like stack or synergize.
Okay. And I know, wandering around thus far, I've only been through a few levels, but I've seen zombies and slimes and bats, and I think in the test area there's like whites, even a mimic, which was pretty cool. I thought that was cool that was in there. What other kinds of creatures can we expect to run into?
Have you gone to the first boss yet?
When I had a boss fight, it spawned in a bunch of different varied size slimes.
Oh, okay. So there's like 2 floors of each theme. So there are different like dungeon themes. So the first is the overgrown dungeon, and then there comes the river dungeon. It's more like ghostly, so with ghost slimes and skeletons. There's a possessed armor that has a huge sword that swings it at you and attacks you with that. There are flying skulls. There's a huge plant. That's the boss of the first dungeon theme. There are champion enemy versions of some wights with like armor on. Don't know if you have seen them yet.
In the test area, I have.
Oh yeah. Like there are maggots, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's like, I think that's most of the enemies that are there at the moment. Oh yeah, wisps also. Yeah. I mean, I will add more of enemies. So yeah, now it's pretty basic. So the whole gameplay stuff is now working, and now I can start on like adding more variety, more enemies, more dungeon room layouts. So those are the enemies that will come. So they will always be themed for the dungeon. So in the overgrown dungeon, there could be something like how are they called? Tree ants. These.
Oh, okay.
These living tree things, creatures.
There's something I remember from D&D. I think it's myconids. They're like mushroom people.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so I haven't really gotten too much into like plans for more enemies yet, because I'm first planning to expand the dungeons sizes and the dungeon themes, and then the enemies hopefully come naturally.
Drac, which one is it you wanted in the game? What is it you're always looking for?
The Beholder?
Yeah.
I even had a Beholder in the game a few versions ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I scrapped him because he didn't fit this dungeon.
Put it back! I expect that would probably be a nightmare to fight, though, if it's anything like the D&D Beholders with all the different powers, the different rays coming out of his eyes and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I guess mechanically, the Beholder doesn't fit, because the Beholders are specifically a creature where you fit your equipment, so you change the equipment when you know the Beholder's there, so that you can deal with the different powers they have. If you don't have an equipment system, that seems like it would be an overpowered enemy.
Well, they're pretty overpowered in their own right anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I still have
I just want to see what it looked like.
Yeah, but yeah, sadly the Beholder is not in the game at the moment. Maybe in the future. Maybe for some other dungeon type. So we'll see.
So what other kind of boss creatures are there? You said the large plant. There was the one I ran into that spawned a bunch
that's the
of
only one at the
slimes.
moment. So
Okay.
It's like a huge plant that like barfs at you. Like it spits like green stuff. Then I have in plans for another like a Lich King type of enemy for like the second dungeon. Also, I try to do something like taking champion enemies, like in bulk, like 2 or 3 of them. You have to fight them at the same time, so that could be a boss in their own right. So, but other than that, I haven't really gotten into the boss design phase yet. So the one boss is just like a relic from a few versions ago, but now, there aren't any bosses yet other than this one. So if you go in the 4th floor, I think, it's the 4th floor, and you go into the boss room, there's like a text that says, sorry, haven't gotten to that part yet, there will be no boss. So
Do something
it's
a
still
little
work
bit
in
more
progress.
immersive. Has to be like, you were lucky the boss isn't here. The enemy left, you can raid the dungeon.
Yeah, good idea.
Just saying. I mean, if there isn't a story in the game, then at least make something pretend story for why the boss isn't there.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
think,
crap
but
writer.
like once the boss is there, like it doesn't really, like it's not worth it to add like
Oh yeah, just
this,
text.
the story
That's
stuff.
it.
But maybe I can change the text.
Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky. The boss is at dinner or something.
Well, wouldn't they be in their lair then if they're at dinner? Yeah. They went out to eat.
Yeah.
The boss isn't quarantined.
He's an essential employee.
Yeah. There would be a boss, but he's socially distancing himself from you.
Awesome.
Apologies. Corona jokes. Oh,
Yeah. Is it too early? Too soon?
this is too much.
Well, one thing I don't think we asked that I'm a little curious about was when you decided to make a game. What made you decide to do VR as opposed to standard computer video game?
So I think I was like one of the, like when the Vive came out, I think it was 2016. So I immediately got it and was like, I fell in love with VR like directly. So I always wanted to do some VR game because before that, like me and a few friends, like I said, did the mobile games. So I wanted to do something else, but the problem was like the games market is like flooded with indies. So I thought maybe VR is a bit smaller, so the expectations for a good game aren't that high as for normal games.
I think that's changed, though.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've seen some
Like-
of the
like-
VR that are coming out are awesome.
yeah. So, but the market is smaller, so there's not that much games to choose from. So
It
get
might
noticed.
be now, yeah. Last year at this time, sorry, I'm sidetracking a little bit. We were getting so many requests to cover VR games that it was getting absurd. Like, it was near enough daily a new game. But it seems to have slowed down. I think a lot of small teams have broken their necks on VR because the player base is too small. If you don't get a certain traction early on, you don't get money, and you seem to
financially it's
be yes.
really hard for
And
I think
you're
developers
solo dev, so you have less financial requirements, I guess.
Yeah.
It's easier. But it's an interesting observation that you think that you see it as viable because it's smaller, whereas as I said a year ago.
So I definitely expect like it's not as financially worth it as like doing a non-VR game, but I think like I'm not sure. Maybe it isn't that way, but I think having a decently good VR game, you have a much better chance to have players than having a flat screen game that's decent, because to have a flat screen game you need to have a really good game to get like big. I mean, you won't get
Makes sense.
as big in VR, but I think it.
With VR, you get a hook for the game, which is the VR.
Yeah.
Whereas with the regular screen game, flat screen game, you need a hook that sells. And if it doesn't, even if you have a good hook, if it doesn't sell, then you'll get nowhere.
I think like it's not like the financial stuff, but I think I always wanted to have like a VR game that you can play for hours. That doesn't get boring. So I think a lot of VR games, I think, aren't that like. They don't keep you hooked for really long because they are more like experiences of wave shooters. So like the first VR games at start were. Now they are really cool games. Okay, but I started the game like almost 2 years ago. No, more than 2. Yeah, I think 2 years ago. So it was a bit different then. And I haven't really found a game like a roguelike game. So I'm a fan of roguelikes or roguelites.
Yeah.
And I haven't really found a game like that does that in VR that has enough content, so I tried to do that in VR, and that's like how the game started. The thing is, content-wise the game is still pretty small, so that'll take ages to get right, I think.
Yeah. No, I think you might be onto something here. Because you're not another wave shooter, another Beat Saber sim. Yeah, you have a sword that waves around, but there's been quite a few games recently have mimicked Beat Saber. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
Was it the Space Pirate Trainer, the constant shooting wave shooter? Yeah, it's good to see something else. So you might be onto something with. You step beyond those that are mostly just a tech demo. I'm sorry, but a lot of them are. And you have an actual game. So, yeah, I can see that succeed.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Well, so we've talked a little bit about the Discord that you have, and we'll make sure that there's a link in the description for that. And some of the community feedback you've gotten with folks either reporting bugs or asking for different features. But in general, just the overall feel is the feedback you've gotten from the community been pretty positive, or how's that been working out for you?
I think the feedback is extremely positive. I haven't really had like negative stuff, like more like those things. These things are maybe annoying, or like you could improve that, but it's never been like hate or something. Like most of the criticism that I get, I understand why, because it's I mean, I notice it too, but I can't fix everything at the same time. So sometimes stuff that's not really polished or something is in the game for like a month or two, and then people report it over and over again and say, yeah, you could change that, or that doesn't work. But it's really positive. I think I have some people like on the Reddit posts, there are like 2 or 3 like people that say, oh no, we don't need these Minecraft blocky graphics or something, but there's like a really small minority. I think most Reddit posts were really successful, like beyond the expectations. They had like I think when I started the Kickstarter, I had like 1,600 upvotes on the post of a GIF, and that was pretty awesome. So I think it's a pretty positive feedback I get.
On the whole feedback thing, I see you have a Discord, you have Reddit. Is there either a page on the Discord, a FAQ, frequent asked question, or is there some like a Trello board or something where people can see what has already been reported?
Yeah, there's a Trello board where I track most of the stuff.
Okay,
like
so there's
what bugs are, things I plan for the next update.
Okay.
Or like people that suggest something. Most of
You
the
just
things
point
they
Trello
suggest
board.
are really cool, so I put them like on the to-do list, and so I don't forget them. Yeah, so the Trello board is public and everyone can look into it. Most people don't. They just report a bug that's been reported 20 times.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Well, that's where you just tell them it's this bug number over on the Trello board. Yeah, point. It's over there. Go look.
Yeah, but it's not a huge deal.
Well, do you have a community support person who can cover at least, so you don't spend all your time telling people that it's already been reported?
Yeah, some people they answer like
Good.
people that report stuff that's already happened. So it's some people help. It's really useful.
Anybody in the community you want to give a shout out to? It's optional.
Yeah, I don't know really how to pronounce his name. I think it's Kuik. He's the one that supported the Kickstarter with the highest tier.
Ooh.
And he's really active in the Discord, and he also finds. I think he's found the most obscure bugs that I've ever seen. He tries everything. It's awesome. It's cool to have someone that like really like tries to break the game, and then he makes like Twitch clips of that and gives it to me so I can easily like see how it happened. So that helps a lot. So yeah.
Good man, cool week, however it was. Good man indeed.
So, I think, is it about that time, G?
Well, I think we should just quickly mention, as said, there is Discord, there is Reddit, so if people at this point want to go look at things, run over to the Discord and join and say hi.
Yeah.
But yeah, guess it is that time. The penultimate question. Sorry, we have a friend who's terrible at, everything. Languages. He speaks 5 of them. He's still terrible.
He thinks he speaks 5 of them.
Oh no, I've checked. He actually freaking does. One of them is almost English. He's the person who should have been here instead of me, so I get to take the piss. He also speaks something that's almost Dutch. And he tries often. Anyway, Erik, the penultimate question. The question we have to ask everybody, because Bam did that and he insisted we keep doing it. And therefore, that means you get to be asked the question, you get to suffer through it. And in all its simplicity it is. And now I know that you're German, so I'm expecting certain answers, particularly from the area that you're in. Erik, what kind of bacon do you like? How do you like your bacon made? And what do you drink with your bacon? And I'm not ignoring the fact that behind you there is a very wide selection of beverages, which makes me think the release date for your game is going to be 2030.
This one?
Yeah. People who are going into the Kickstarter, ignore the background. The game will be out within the next 10 years.
Yeah. Soon.
So, bacon, beverages, go.
Bacon beverages.
Bacon and beverages. I mean, you can try and mix them. Drac did. That went terrible, but he'll tell you that in a moment. So, what kind of bacon? How do you want your bacon? And what do we drink with it? And if you come with a Weissport beer or something,
that's a hard question.
You had all the easy ones already.
Yeah. Bacon should be crunchy. So, not like wobbly. How do you say that? Yeah, so it should be crunchy. What do I want to drink with it? Oh my god. Like I mostly eat bacon with like scrambled eggs.
Ooh, that works. That's a classic breakfast bacon.
Yeah. And then to drink. I mean, we've tried a few of them, so it's hard to pick a favorite. But I'm not really sure if it fits, but I think it was one of the best like beers I drank. And it's an IPA. I think it's called Poppels. It's a Swedish IPA, I think. And I loved it. It was amazing. So, yeah.
Would say your description, crispy bacon, scrambled eggs, that's breakfast bacon. IPA for breakfast, I'm not saying is impossible. That is a breakfast.
Yeah, okay, for breakfast.
Well, I mean, you can have breakfast bacon later in the day. that works. And then put some spice in it, and it will fit the IPA. That can definitely be done.
Maybe.
Yeah, make it something heavy. I've completely missed the name of a spice. Damn it! But a heavy, earthy flavor to the scrambled eggs and the bacon. Yeah, then an IPA would work. If I can suggest one, since you said Swedish, they're brother people, bröderna, over in Norway. There's one called Nøgne Nøkna means naked, and then Ö, which is the first letter in the Norwegian version of ecological.
Yeah.
It's an ecological or bio beer, and they do pale ales and IPAs. Their IPA is one of the better IPAs I've had.
Oh, like how is it written?
Well, because you don't have the letter Ö, although you would have O umlaut. Nogne space O would probably be how it would be written in English.
Ah. I found it. Oh, they have a lot of different ones.
Yeah, but as I said, it's a bio beer. It's one of the better, but it has a very floral bouquet to it. So if you don't like them, very floral, very... Yeah, here I only have the Danish word for it, humlagtigt. If you don't like that, then it can be a miss, but otherwise, that's a good one.
I need to try that.
And you add it to your collection.
Yeah, so I mean, we're a few people who try them, so it's not like I'm drinking them all by myself.
There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are sitting at home drinking by themselves these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I started learning how to do some homebrew before all this stuff happened, so I can keep myself in stock. What G mentioned before about me mixing bacon and alcohol, a lot of times just snacking on some bacon with some alcohol is very, very good. I've learned to homebrew hard cider, apple cider, so that's a really good pairing. At least I think so anyway. But I did try to put them together at one point. I fried up some thick cut bacon and put that in a bottle, trying to flavor the cider with the bacon. And at the end of it, it wasn't that it was horrible, but it wasn't great. It more or less just tasted like apple cider flavored bacon grease. So it wasn't the greatest thing. It didn't turn out too well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is probably the 8th time I've heard that story, and my stomach still goes, nope.
Yeah. But I've since found ways, looking online, that there are folks who have managed to get bacon flavoring into hard cider by using like bacon flavored whiskey. So it's, I don't know, something I may still try in the future, that route. But I know that in the game you have edibles that provide health, like apples and things like that. So as much as we love bacon, if we find an opportunity, we do try to find a way to get bacon into games. So we'll make a formal request here that you add bacon as one of those items you can find and get health back from.
Okay, why not? Rare item.
Yeah. You can make a drink that is a bacon-flavored cider. It just makes people sick.
Insta kills.
This would be good. Half health.
Throw it at the enemy and make them puke.
I'm not doing horror games, sorry.
I'm thinking the old Moria had, that's before any of our time, had in-game things where if you drank them or ate them, you just died. Like, no warning, dead.
Wow.
Nice death trap in the middle of it. Okay, so...
You have died of dysentery.
Yeah. Well, I've seen Terry Crews, and if you diss him, yeah, you're going to die. Okay, so, Eric, Kickstarter, we're a little bit past halfway, I can tell. For some reason, it's showing me in dollars, but €4,000, reasonable target. You seem well on the way. There's a few days still, so when does the Kickstarter end?
I think 19th of May.
Okay, so there's a little bit.
It's still a few weeks to go, so it looks promising.
It looks, I would say, once you're halfway through, well, actually when you pass the first week, if you're halfway to your target, you usually get there. So I'm going to call this one comfortable. People are sitting out there unsure whether the Kickstarter will succeed. It's probably going to, and as you said, your intention is to go forward no matter what. This Kickstarter is for an uplift of the game, not for the release of the game. And I think that is a very good way of approaching it. Scary that there's only you. Just saying, but the other guys who made mobile games, get them off the mobiles and get more to help you. But if you feel confident doing everything, go for it. It's awesome that you can.
Yeah, except music. So I will talk with. So there were already a few people that said they want to do the music or they want to do one music track for the game.
Yeah.
And so I have a few people on a list, and I'm going to contact them once I have this stuff ready. So yeah, music is one of the few things that I can't do at all. So I'd have to learn everything from, and that would take too much time. So so someone else does that. Someone who's way better than me then.
It's always a nightmare with all the legals around it, but yeah, it's always good that you can pull in others.
Yeah.
But beyond that, all I can say is, because I didn't play, because I didn't ever bother getting a VR helmet. I'll wait until the PSVR 2 version comes out.
Is it already announced?
No, but it's coming.
Oh.
It's
okay.
The PSVR is the most selling VR headset ever. Ignoring the cardboard boxes that you slid your phone into.
Oh yeah.
Actual headset, yeah, it's the most selling one. A lot of PC players hate that fact and say it isn't, but it is. So it's coming. There's no way around it. But beyond that, all the best with the Kickstarter, all the best with the game. I want to eventually play it, so you have a few years still, until I get a headset.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
It looks really cool. And while some folks might have complained about the blocky stuff, that's one of the things that attracted me to checking it out was, it just looked like something fun.
It was
not to be
2 or 3 people
seriously.
in thousands of comments. So
yeah,
I think it's good.
It's not. But yeah, definitely best of luck. I've backed it myself. I'm hoping good things. So.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more. And when we get off here, if you get a chance, one thing I'd like to do is just see what the Beholder looked like, just because I'm curious.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, and then for the folks, either listening or watching at home, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. The game is Ancient Dungeon VR, currently on Kickstarter. Go check it out, and go back another Kickstarter game.
And I think itch.io, no?
What?
It's on itch.io, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a free beta that everyone can play and try out and report bugs, see how the game plays. And yeah.
Good.
Have fun.
Well, in that case, ciao everybody.